If Langston Love is out for a while, how does that impact this team going into March? Well, it's not good. This is Locked On Baylor.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Baylor. I'm Drake Toll from Sports Illustrated's Inside the Bears. Thank you for making Locked On Baylor your first listen every single day. And I hope that you all braved the storms all right yesterday. I know there were tornado warnings across all the DFW area and down into Waco. So hope everybody is okay and safe. And look, jumping right into this, there was, I'm not numb to stuff. I'm not going to not address stuff. I tweeted out yesterday that a source close to the Baylor basketball program had informed me that Langston Love had spent some time in the hospital, that Love wouldn't return likely this season and would have an extended recovery process for an eye injury that he suffered against Oklahoma State on Monday, and that both Love and his family were pretty upset. I mean, he missed all last season with injury. And I'll tell you this, first and foremost, the source that brought it to me is someone who I trust a lot. And I hope they're wrong. I really hope they are wrong. And I really hope that Langston Love is back tomorrow against Iowa State. All the people who tweeted back at me saying that they had sources who were saying the opposite. I didn't know that there were so many people who were so well connected directly with the staff at Baylor. And people say that it was the opposite, that Langston Love will be right back and playing against Iowa State tomorrow. And boy, if that's the case, I mean, it's great for the kid. It's awesome for the kid. Like if the person that I know who's within the program, who day in and day out is working alongside these players and his staff, who said that Langston Love had a lengthy stay in the hospital, that his visibility is really, really bad, and that he probably wouldn't be back, that it's not likely you'll see him again. Like if that person was incorrect and said that, yeah, sure, you guys, if you want to question a source like that. But I know that the person told me that. I trust him a lot, and I can't imagine they'd say that just to lie. So I'm going to keep it, despite all the sources that a lot of people have. And they're, I get it. I see your tweets when you say this guy's a clown or this guy just wants attention. No. And when a trusted source comes to me with information and I know this person and I trust this person, what they say, then, I mean, I have the basis to report on that. And that's what I did. And again, if I'm wrong, then I'll be the first to say, look, this info I was given from somebody within the team. And if it's incorrect, then great, the kid can play. And I'm sorry that I tweeted it and I led you astray. I'm fine saying that. But to say that I'm a clown or I have bad sources, I'm going to stick to this guy's guns because he hadn't done me wrong yet and expect that Langston Love's going to miss some time. So that's my address to the people on Twitter who were so irate and had so many sources inside the program that were telling them so much differently, which also, I'll throw out here too. I mean, if I'm a basketball coach, I'm part of the basketball team. I'm going to be like, oh, no, he'll be back. I want other people to think that or to know that. And I get that. I understand there's intricacies on every side to this. But again, I'm going off of what I was told from somebody that I trust, that Langston Love is going to miss a while. And if he does, that changes the dynamic of this team. A 6'5" freshman, the kid, redshirt freshman now because he was hurt the ACL last season. You hate it. You hate it if he misses any time after the injury against Oklahoma State. He only played 7 minutes in that game. And he's been the guy off the bench before Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua, who had the Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua X factor. He was really good on defense. When you needed a spark on offense, his shooting was good enough to get you there. And he just added that piece that reminded me of like a Devontae Bandu, reminded me a little bit of like a younger Adam Flagler, a young LJ Cryer. They're not going to light it up. It's a guy that may drop 20 randomly in a game, but also you only expect them to score in the 6 to 10 range, and that's going to do you really well. And they play good, hard defense. Again, like think back to Adam Flagler, his freshman year or his first year at Baylor, I should say, and what he brought on the floor. It was never all right. This is, Adam Flagler is going to win this game for the Bears. He's the guy they're looking to. No, but he'd come in, he'd give the role he needed to give, and that would help Baylor win. That to me is Langston Love. Without that, and I don't want to even compare. We talked about Keontae George yesterday, and if he goes out, where is Baylor? And he's been out for 2 games, and Baylor has been pretty good. I don't want to compare Langston Love to Keontae George, but defensively, yeah, Langston Love's better. You're losing a spark defensively. Offensively, Langston Love plays more conservative, much more conservative than Keontae George. But sometimes with his offense especially, that helps you. You lose Langston Love. If you do, again, hopefully they don't, you lose 6.5 points per game, 2 rebounds per game, an assist, 43% field goal percentage. His last few games, too, he's shooting 70% at the line, which is decent enough. His last few games, that Texas game, he goes 22 minutes. He puts up, he goes 2 for 3 from deep, scores 11 points total, only grabs 1 foul, 3 rebounds. The Kansas State game before that, 15 minutes, he only gets 3 points. He has 2 turnovers, 1 assist, 2 rebounds. Not great. Kansas on the road, he was non-existent almost, aside from his defense. He had 14 minutes, 4 quality fouls, as I'd call them, 2 points and a turnover with a rebound, no assists. Again, there are the games where you're like, all right, I didn't really notice anything from Langston Love. Don't really need to. Don't have to. Baylor can still win without it. Then the games like that OU game at home where he drops 19 points. Like, oh, shoot. Langston Love was the guy today. He played 31 minutes in that game. There were a lot of games in non-conference that were the exact same. But to me, it is the style of play that Langston Love brings to the floor for Baylor is something that I admire. There has not been a time since like the first 3 or 4 games. I mean, I felt like he was slow. Obviously, after an ACL injury, you're going to be. First 2 or 3 games out, it's like, I don't know if I love what Langston Love's giving you right now. And then something clicked, especially when those games they're resting Adam Flagler, they're resting LJ Cryer, and Langston just blew up. He became kind of an X factor. That Tarleton game where he scored 20 points. Start to think, okay, what if he steps up into the role of being a legitimate guy for this team? And that's kind of what he's done. Like, there's never been a point where Langston Love's gotten on the floor and I thought, shoot, they put Langston Love in. See, you lose that guy before you go to March, before you go to the tournament. If this guy misses the Big 12 tournament, I'll say this. Okay, I hope everybody misses the Big 12 tournament. Lose your first game if you want to. Maybe play one halfway. But if he's like, hey, we can maybe get him back in a week, don't even think about Langston Love playing in the Big 12 tournament. You don't need to win a game in the Big 12 tournament. You're good. Just moving on. Let the kid play in March. I'm A-okay with that. He is maybe not the X factor, but such a good factor with this team that he is a key depth-wise to Baylor's success in March. A saving grace to this, though. Say that, all right, he can't go. Dale Bonner. I don't know how or why it happened, where it came from, but Dale Bonner is now him. Dale Bonner has stepped into a role with Keontae George out that has been superb. Bonner has lit it up. Defensively, he's been insane. Offensively, he's put up a ton of points. And in the Oklahoma State game, you basically didn't have Langston Love. He only logged 7 minutes in that game, and Baylor wins it, by 6, but they were up by 20 at one point. So you've got that safety blanket now that Dale Bonner is back and playing the way that he's playing. He is stepping into a role of being an X factor, where I don't think Langston Love is a direct X factor of this team. Like, they can go without him, they can still win. I think you're coming to a point now without Dale Bonner. Why have you seen this team with a complete 180? Dale Bonner hit the floor. That's the last 2 games. Why have they gotten hot? The ball's moving more. The defense is much better. He has been that X factor for this team. Flo Thamba playing better. I don't know if that has any correlation to Dale Bonner being out there, but these things are things you need in March. These X factors, a la Dale Bonner, are things you need to win in March. I want Dale Bonner right now. If you have to trade, if you're looking at Keontae George, Langston Love, and Dale Bonner, if I've got to pick one of those, based on the last 2 games, you're going Dale Bonner. If you can get Dale and Keontae both, all right, give me March. But I do still want, more than anything, give me Langston Love in the postseason. The kid deserves it. After missing all last season, kid deserves it. And he is, again, maybe not the catalyst, maybe not the X factor, but another piece, a key piece off the bench for the Bears. Speaking of key pieces, one of my favorite key pieces of things, it's FanDuel. I am still alive in the intramural tennis tournament. You know that if you listened to the show yesterday. So if you want to make a bet on me to win the entire intramural tennis tournament, I'm like plus 10,000. Please don't do it. I'm not near as good as the rest of the guys out there. But you can probably do that at FanDuel. You can also bet on all the Big 12 games this weekend, which we're going to jump into here as well. All of those have like this no sweat first bet thing you can use. No sweat first bet is up to $1,000. You throw $1,000 on Baylor to win against Iowa State to cover the spread of probably 8-9 without Caleb Grill. We'll get to that too. You do that and it doesn't hit, you get $1,000 back in free play, $1,000 back in bonus bets. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, it's secure, it's super easy to use. You can bet on everything from the money lines, the point scorers, three-pointers made, the NBA, NCAA, all of it at FanDuel. No sweat first bet right now at FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Big 12 basketball this weekend. Baylor and Iowa State, 11 a.m. at the Ferrell Center. If there is one thing that I can do right off the bat talking about this game, it is to implore you, show up to the game. Baylor does this thing where they say, hey, students, it's senior day. We want to send our seniors off right. We want to make sure that all of our senior basketball guys can have a proper send-off and a great crowd. So we're going to schedule a spring break right in the middle of senior day. So Saturday, tomorrow, all these Baylor students are going to be gone because it's a scheduling nightmare. I don't understand. Maybe it's because they don't want Baylor students to go on spring break with other universities and party a little too hard, but also Arizona and Arizona State are having their spring break, and Villanova are having their spring break next week. So basically everybody's going to Cabo San Lucas or Puerto Vallarta or Cancun or Seaside or Destin. I don't know if it really stopped much. It just gave you more party schools that can influence the Baylor kids. That's neither here nor there. You avoided TCU spring break. Congrats. Theirs is the week after. Take that. Now, though, you don't get a great crowd. You, I guess, give students the opportunity to go to the Big 12 tournament, which they're not going to do. Like, hey, where are you going for spring break? I'm going to Kansas City. I'm going to downtown Kansas City to watch Baylor lose their first game in the Big 12 tournament. Hopefully that's what happens. But this weekend against Iowa State, please show up to the game if you can. Tickets got to be cheap. They've just got it. As low as $10 on Vivid Seats. $10. If you need help with the tickets, I understand, and let me know. We will find a way to get you to that game if you want to go to that game. Baylor's playing an Iowa State team that is in a bit of a shocking circumstance. Pete Souza came on this show 2 weeks ago and said they were his pick to win the Big 12 title. Since Pete Souza said that, Iowa State is 0-4 with losses to Kansas State on the road, an 18-point loss to Texas on the road, then some confusing ones. At home to Oklahoma by 11. At home to West Virginia by 3. This team's reeling. And then they get the news, hey, your leading three-point shooter, Caleb Grill, is kind of not on the team anymore. I have so many questions with that one. Cyclone Larry, if you can help me out, I've got so many questions with why Caleb Grill is not playing for Iowa State. I don't know what he did, what the whole conduct thing was, how bad it was. I mean, it couldn't be near as bad as having it at Alabama and the kid's still on the team. I would hope it's not near as bad as that. And he's gone. Caleb Grill's not an Iowa State Cyclone anymore, which to me, I was like, I never liked playing against Caleb Grill. A game in Ames earlier this season between Baylor and Iowa State to open Big 12 play, Caleb Grill was the guy. Now he's gone, not even on a team anymore. So they come to Waco, losers of 4 straight. I think they've lost 10 of the last 14 last I saw. And Baylor is on a 2-game win streak, a pretty prominent win streak, a 9-point win against Texas. That was more than that. A 6-point win against Oklahoma State. That was more than that. Both of those coming in the wake of some double-digit losses at Kansas and at Kansas State. So you got a shot if you're Baylor to secure a win here. And I think if you get a win, say it right now, you can quote me on it. If Baylor wins against Iowa State, which should absolutely happen, they've locked in a 2 seed. You take your 2 seed to the bank. Even if you lose in the first round of the Big 12 tournament, Baylor's still going to be the number 7 team, 8 team in America. Maybe you put yourself in a spot where you're playing Houston or Alabama in the Elite 8, but you've booked yourself a 2 seed in this. I'm cool. I would rather play Houston or Alabama than Kansas. No, I would much rather be in a region with Houston or Alabama and not Kansas. I don't want to face them. But a 2 seed's great, especially in a year where, and we'll break this down all next week too, there are not a lot of really favorable spots for these teams, for Baylor, I should say, in March Madness location-wise. Like, you want a convenient place to go? You're not going to get one. Unless you live somewhere near the places that the NCAA tournament's playing. There are none accessible in Texas. They're not doing Fort Worth again, and I thought Dickies was a great host last year, but I didn't get to select. So if you're a Baylor fan and you want to watch them in March Madness, best of luck. Hope you like to travel. Speaking of luck, you will be lucky if there's a Walmart or a Sam's Club near you. Yeah. There probably is too, man. There's a lot of those out there. And you're lucky because they have Built Bar. Walmart started in Bentonville, Arkansas. Did you know that? I'm from Arkansas. I got a little Valonia sign back there. Valonia played in the playoffs in boys and girls basketball yesterday in Pine Bluff. Valonia sign. Walmart started in Arkansas. Now Walmart and Sam's Club both carry Built Bar. Built Bar right now, 13 bar box at Sam's Club, a 4-bar box at Walmart. They have great flavors like coconut, churro, not coconut churro. They have coconut almond. They have churro, peanut butter brownie. All these bars, 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 17 grams of protein. 17 grams of protein. You don't have to wait either. You can go to Built.com and order it at Built.com and they'll send it to you. Or you just go to your local Walmart or Sam's Club. Boom, you're set up. You grab yourself a box of these Built bars and you're ready to go. You go get all those great flavors and more, even at Built.com too. It's one of my favorite ways to start my day. That is Built.com, Built Bar at Sam's Club or Walmart. Go grab you one today. All right, let's take a look around the rest of the Big 12 this weekend and teams in action, where the rankings, standings will shake out too, and where Baylor will be as far as Big 12 tournament seeding goes. So Kansas State, Baylor, and Texas all at 11-6 right now in Big 12 play, meaning there's kind of the weird race for who's the 2 seed in the Big 12 tournament. Why does that matter? Well, you could get like a West Virginia in round 1 of the Big 12 tournament, who honestly, again, I think you need to lose to. Like, give one of these teams a shot at NCAA or at March Madness, on Oklahoma State or West Virginia, whoever gets left out. Give them a shot at March Madness and take that first game and just go. Don't get anybody hurt. Get in March Madness as healthy as possible and leave it there. So I don't really care where Baylor's seated in the Big 12 tournament come next week. That's coming up, by the way. March is here. But right now, the Oklahoma Sooners, the worst team in the Big 12 with 4 wins. They're not going dancing. Texas Tech needs some help. They're 5-12 in the Big 12. West Virginia needs a little bit of help. They're 6-11. Oklahoma State at 7-10. They need some help. Iowa State still going to make it into the NCAA tournament despite losing Caleb Grill. They're going to be a 9 seed. They're going to be a 10 seed. They're going to be a sneaky one of those teams, but their trajectory right now is just bad. Really, since Pete Souza cursed them, their trajectory is really bad. This weekend, Kansas and Texas, a game to keep an eye on. That game's down in Austin. If Kansas, who has now won an outright Big 12 title, they're like 65th. That wasn't even a joke. If they beat Texas in Austin, Baylor's going to beat Iowa State at home. I'm guaranteeing that. Baylor's going to beat Iowa State at home. Your Bears, the 2 seed in the Big 12 tournament. They finished in the top 2 of the Big 12 for the gajillionth time in the last 20 years, whatever it is. The other games to note, Kansas State, 1 p.m. against West Virginia. West Virginia playing at home. They need a win against the number 11 team in America. Kansas State, if they lose, they're in a spot to lose. If Kansas State loses this game, Baylor's in a better spot to lock in that 2 seed in the Big 12 tournament. So you see Kansas knock off Texas on the road, which is not impossible at all. And you see Kansas State lose at West Virginia, which will likely happen. And Baylor's your 2 seed because they're going to beat Iowa State. TCU goes to Oklahoma. Now it's number 22 TCU. They just got done beating a top 10 Texas team at home. If Oklahoma is able to beat TCU at home, that's at least interesting. If the Sooners can grab a couple games in the Big 12 tournament, get back around 500, you're looking at an OU team that's got a resume enough to at least beg. They're going to be one of the top seeds in the NIT at least. Isn't that a weird combination of letters? NIT. Been a long time since we talked about that at Baylor. Haven't had to talk about that one in a while. It's beautiful. The other Big 12 slate, the other Big 12 game on the slate, Oklahoma State at Texas Tech. If Texas Tech wins at home against Oklahoma, this is like a lose and you're out kind of game. Both teams 16-14. Oklahoma State 7-10 in the Big 12. Texas Tech 5-12. Games in Lubbock, and it is as toss-up as you can get it. This game, too, is going to be at 5 p.m., so it's a night-ish game in Lubbock. The crowd's going to be insane, and if Texas Tech wins, they've still got a shot. They're not exactly in the Oklahoma boat because they've got a better shot to me. If Texas Tech wins, I think they're 1 win away in the Big 12 tournament from being there. If Oklahoma State wins, I think they're in, period. They have done enough this season to prove that they should be in the NCAA tournament. If they go 8-10 in Big 12 play, 17-14 overall, a road win against Texas Tech at United Supermarkets HEB Arena, that is massive. And Oklahoma State should be a tournament team. I reasonably think, from a net standpoint, from a strength of schedule standpoint, the Big 12 should get at least 8 teams in. Again, Kansas, you're locked in. Kansas State, obviously. Baylor is going to go dancing. Texas and TCU. Iowa State is still going to do it even without Caleb Grill and finishing 8-10 in conference play. Now, out of Oklahoma State, West Virginia, and Texas Tech, you could throw Oklahoma in there, but they need some drastic help. Oklahoma State, West Virginia, Texas Tech, those three teams, I think two should get in. At least two should get in. All three of them are a caliber to win games in March. If I had to pick two of the three right now, I think West Virginia has locked their spot in. I think Oklahoma State has locked its spot in. Texas Tech, especially with a loss this weekend, will not make it in. But with a win, 17-14, it's still going to be tough. They're going to need a game in the Big 12 tournament. So all that stuff to keep an eye on. Look, I love March Madness. I love the Big 12. I want the Big 12 to get as many teams in here as possible. So that's what I'm going for. That's what I want, is the Big 12 to have the entire Elite Eight come from the Big 12, which maybe this season. So if you're that kind of guy, then in the Big 12 tournament, root against Baylor. I'll be rooting against Baylor. Not because I want Baylor to lose or that I like to see Baylor lose, but because I want somebody else to go to the big dance, and I don't want any Baylor guys to get hurt. Again, they beat Kansas State. They lost to Oklahoma State in 2021 in the Big 12 tournament. They got in. They got out. They won a national championship. Get in, get out, give yourself a shot at the national championship, get put in an easy bracket, or God forbid, win the whole Big 12 tournament and be a 1 seed. Maybe. I guess I could kind of get on board with that if you really wanted to. But all that and more, we'll talk about it on Monday. The whole bracket will be out on Monday. We'll have the Big 12 standings. We'll have who's going to make it in. We'll have all the bracketology. That is coming up. It's my favorite part of the year. Don't want to miss it. All right here at Locked On Baylor. I'm Drake Toll from Sports Illustrated's Inside the Bears. Thank you for making Locked On Baylor your first listen every single day. I hope I'm wrong about Langston Love. This has been, always will be, Locked On Baylor. Come back Monday.